Let me tell you about the worst day that I've ever had. I want to get this story right. I even wrote down points of everything that happened, so stay tuned. So, I started texting this guy on Tinder. And as soon as I started texting him, I was at work and I asked my friend at work to follow him to see what he's like or whatever. And he checks out. We talked for about 2 days and he asked me yesterday to go to a bonfire and says that we should ride together. Which I agree. The bonfire was around 40 minutes away, so whatever. We also have mutual friends, so I kind of know maybe of him. I trust him. I'm not he's not a stranger, you know? So anyways, the time comes around, and I get to his apartment. First thing, he's short as fuck. He is literally shorter than me. That was the first red flag. Not a red flag, but just kind of turn off. Not ugh. The second thing is I went into his room and he still had a picture of his ex, and I know it was his ex because it had a little date and a rose in it in the picture frame. And I know what his ex looks like. Before we met, he did offer me to get some high noons, so that was pretty nice of him. So we're now on the way to the bonfire. It's about 40 minutes away, you know, and we're just talking, getting to know each other, and I bring up the topic of religion because it's a lot of controversial, you know, because I am agnostic and 90% of this town is Baptist or some type of Christianity. And we disagree on that and pretty heavily. He is really, really polar opposite of me. And so I'm I don't like this guy. I'm sorry. I don't say that to his face, but that's what I'm thinking. But at that point, we're almost there, and so I just try to suck it up and have fun, you know. So we arrive there, and there is absolutely no service. None. And what I thought would be a little bit of a rager or something was a party of 8 people. So we're there, and I'm just talking and mingling with the girls and everything. Not really we're kind of not talking to each other. I'm just kind of avoiding him at that point. But I'm making friends with the girls, and, you know, I make friends with this one girl, and I could tell that her and her boyfriend were fighting. And, you know, I'm a girl's girl, and so, you know, I'm like, hey, you good girl? You need to ride home? Because she was a little bit fucked up. And she's like, no, it's fine, whatever. Keeping that in mind. So back to him, he is getting sloshed and high, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with weed, but, we drove here. You drove here. How are we getting home? Stay tuned for part 2.
Okay, y'all ready for this one? It's a Tinder date. This is a Tinder meetup. I was on Tinder for a little while. I'm not anymore because it's trash. Like a dumpster. That's what Tinder is. So I matched with this guy. He was all right. You know, he was cutish. Not really my type, but you know, sometimes you give something new a shot. Why not? So he's like, hey, you know, we moved off Tinder. We started talking on WeChat. He seemed fine. He's like, why don't we meet up for drinks? And I was like, perfect, because wasn't really sure I wanted to have a whole sit-down dinner with him. Just wasn't sure yet. And I think drinks are a nice pre-date, you know? So we meet up and we're talking, and he's like, well, what are you insecure about on your body? And I'm like, what kind of question is that? But I was like, all right, well, like most women who have had children, I'm pretty sensitive about my tummy. I feel like the skin is kind of loose, and I feel like it's kind of saggy at the bottom, and I'm self-conscious about it. And he's like, well, would you ever get plastic surgery for it? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, well, I think your stomach is fine, but what about your breasts? So now I'm like, is there something wrong with my breasts? And he's like, well, no, but I wouldn't do a tummy tuck if I were you, but maybe I would consider a boob job. I left my drink on the table and I left. I literally got up and left. My Tinder profile is me, okay? I don't edit pictures. I don't filter pictures. Any picture you ever see of me is me. Unedited, unfiltered, because I don't want there to be any confusion if you meet me in real life, right? You need to know what you're getting. You saw my titties in my Tinder profile. If you don't like little titties, why are you here? Okay? Lots of guys would be perfectly happy with these B cups.
Okay, so I went on the worst first date I've ever been on in my entire life. So a little background is he found me on Hinge, decided not to match with me on there, but instead find me on Instagram and DM me. We kind of made plans like around Thanksgiving. I ended up canceling, and then he kept DMing me often. So I was like, you know what? I'll finally go on this. So I get there and I can already tell like the vibe is just not there. But you will not believe the things that came out of his mouth. First, we're like talking about the gym. Ends up we go to the same gym, and he says he's never seen me there. And I was like making a joke, haha, maybe you don't recognize me. And he's like, what do you wear to the gym? And I was like, I don't know, leggings, sports bra, sweatshirt, like something like that. And he goes, oh, you're one of those. And I was like, what? And he goes, where's a sports bra to the gym? And I was like, yeah, like, I don't want to run with my sweatshirt. It'll get pretty hot in there. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. My testosterone is, like, bumping at the gym. I hate when girls just wear sports bras. And I was like, well, sounds like a you problem. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Next is he's talking about college. He was like, oh, I went to Columbia. I was like, oh, yeah. And he was like, oh, yeah, you saw because you, like, stalked me, right? And I was like, no, actually, I didn't know that, but I was just saying like, oh, cool. And then multiple times throughout the date, he would say something and be like, oh, you already knew that because you stalked me. And I'd be like, no, like, I actually didn't. The kicker is when he said, you're a lot smarter than I thought you would be. And I was like, oh, thanks. And he said, I wish you were more basic though, so that I could play the playbook on you. What? And I was like, oh, like, did you think I was going to be super basic coming here? Like, I don't know what you expected. And he was like, yeah, I saw some bikini photos on your Instagram lately, so I just figured. And I was like, what is going on? Why am I here? Then he wants to get deep. So he's saying, when was the last time you cried? And I was like, I don't know, like, maybe like October, something like that. And he goes, oh, that's a long time for a girl. And I was like, excuse me, what? I don't know. And he was like, yeah, I feel like girls cry way more than that. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to tell you, like, probably October. There's a lot more, but the last one I'll put in this video is we're talking about golf, and it ends up that we've been to the same golf course. And he was like, wow, we probably have ran into each other there before. And I was like, oh, maybe. And he was like, I probably passed you, and was like, oh, this girl is going so slow. So yep, that's how my worst first date ever went, and now I have a great story for any other time I'm on a date.